Mark Randall basically said hard work does not matter, and I'm like, bro, what?
No, he's cooking. He's saying it's not that work is useless, it's that work isn't the lever.
Yeah, but if you're a founder hearing that, you either get inspired or you get reckless.
Exactly. And he immediately qualifies it with the triathlon thing. Work matters early to survive the pack.
Wait, the mass start triathlon analogy is so good, though.
He's basically like, sprinting first doesn't mean you win. It just gets you out of the chaos.
And then the plane run story. Running doesn't change whether the flight departs on time.
He's arguing most founders spend energy running for the plane, while the real loss happened weeks earlier.
That hit home because I've seen teams polish decks like it's gonna resuscitate a dead idea.
Right, and the Netflix guy's whole thesis is, don't fall in love, test cheaply and quickly.
He said every idea is stupid, we just don't know why it's stupid yet.
That's the best framing. Assume it's bad, then collide it with real people fast.
The shampoo to pet food pitch car silence from Reed is such a vibe.
And then Reed goes, that will never work. And Mark comes back with research, battle mode.
I love that they weren't doing business plans, they were doing drive-bys on reality.
The DVD test is insane in its simplicity. Mail a used music CD as a proxy.
Like you literally validate shipping mechanics with a stamp.
And it arrives under 24 hours. So the key premise, US mail, can move media, looks real.
Okay, but would that work today with everyone paranoid about shipping and logistics?
It still works because the first test isn't the whole business. It's the smallest unknown.
He kept hammering quick, cheap, easy, not minimal viable product, which is a relief.
Yeah, MVP is often code for, I need 6 months to avoid rejection.
He also gave that student clothes-sharing example, tape paper to a dorm like a guerrilla landing page.
And the success metric is literally, do people knock, not, do you have a perfect plan?
I'm surprised people don't do this more. It's like free learning.
Because sunk cost fallacy is real. Once you've built for a year, you defend the story, not the truth.
He said humility or you die, and that's such a brutal but honest entrepreneurship rule.
And he distinguishes founders who care about being right versus founders who care about being successful.
That line about right hypothesis being a young founder thing, spicy.
It's also personality, like he said, left brain, right brain, collaboration with Reed.
The CEO transition story was messy, though. Reed comes in with a PowerPoint to roast him.
And Mark's like, I'm not letting you pitch me on how much I suck.
But then it lands. This isn't one dream, it's two dreams. Founder as CEO versus company success.
That was the Renaissance part, he says, and honestly, that's the most founder scar tissue moment.
Because ego makes people cling to the past. I'm the right person for yesterday.
And the lens becomes, am I right for tomorrow's seat, not current vibes.
You know what I disagree with slightly? The hard work is a myth phrasing.
Go on.
Work matters like for execution capacity and credibility, especially when you're at zero.
I agree on credibility, but his point is, infinite hard work doesn't fix invalid hypotheses.
Yeah, he's basically saying hard work is necessary but not sufficient. Like oxygen, not gravity.
Exactly. And his plane run metaphor shows how you can work like crazy and still be late to the real decision.
Also the Amazon negotiation, low 8 figures, not a bad return, but they didn't sell because they wanted the shot.
That's the trade-off. Accept certainty, money now, versus uncertain upside later.
And Bezos' vibe, hysterical hyena laugh in the early days, love that image.
It's funny how chaos turned into systems at that company too.
Now I'm thinking, Netflix's big macro tailwinds were internet scale plus DVD's adoption.
Plus, Blockbuster's physical inventory nightmare. 9,000 stores, 60,000 employees.
But still, it required some brave testing because the DVD market was tiny at first.
Under 250,000 DVD players, basically less than 1% of households.
Which makes their early marketing challenge brutal. You need customers before customers exist.
And that's why the The collide with real people doctrine matters because you don't get to assume demand.
So the big takeaway for me is, be ruthless with hypotheses, be generous with iteration.
And stop romanticizing toil. Your job is to find the small unknowns fast, then pour work into the right direction.
All right, I'm convinced, but I still want permission to work hard when the plane actually matters.
Deal, work hard on decisions, not on denial.
That's a tattoo line.
Let's wrap. Next episode, we go deeper into what actually broke at Netflix during the crash, right?
Yeah, the layoffs, the leadership pressure, and how they handled the ugly parts.
Cool, catch you there.
And stay tuned for episode 2, how the deathly moment turned into their most strategic advantage.
The point is not no work. It's work on the right uncertainty.
But he basically said hard work doesn't matter. People will riot online.
Yeah, that headline is bait, but the nuance is the testing loop.
So in his world, hard work is like running for the plane at gate time.
Exactly. You sprint in a blazer, and the flight is delayed anyway.
Wait, he's arguing 49% of the time you make it anyway, 49% not.
And you didn't change odds by being sweaty, you changed odds earlier.
Earlier meaning fundamentals. Market fit, customer behavior, distribution.
Yes, and that's why the quick and cheap test philosophy is everything.
Netflix's test was literally mailing a CD to prove the post office works.
That's the best part. No deck, just a stupid real experiment in motion.
Turn the car around energy is elite, especially for 1997 brainwaves.
They collided the idea with reality by trying to buy a DVD and failing.
And they improvise with a used music CD of the same size, so nerdy.
But that's the entrepreneurial muscle. Reduce the unknown to a physical proxy.
Okay, but how do you know when to drop an idea and not just test forever?
You drop it when the test reveals a falsifiable mismatch, no customer behavior.
So the framework starts with every idea is stupid, not every idea is promising.
Yes, it's anti-romance. If you love it, you defend it into the ground.
Sunk cost fallacy is basically religion for early founders.
They build a cathedral in a bedroom, then act like feedback is violence.
I've seen that. Someone tells you, we already spent a year, like time is evidence.
Time isn't evidence, it's only cost. Validation is whether humans respond.
That clothing sharing example was hilarious, like dorm room taped to your idea.
3x5 cards, marker, tape, test demand before dropping out.
But honestly, the discipline part is hard. People want to build before they learn.
Because building feels productive, even when it's just rearranging delusion.
So how does this connect to Netflix being $278 billion and somehow not built on hard work?
It was built on clever iteration, small experiments that survived contact with users.
And on the other side, he's also saying entrepreneurship is lonely and miserable.
Right, the movies glorify parties, but it's lonely because you're constantly proving reality.
What I liked is his mentorship mission vibe. Pay it forward by preventing wrong starts.
And the book is basically a warning label. Don't do it for fantasy, do it for truth.
Also the Reed relationship, instant junction of two minds, left brain math and empathy marketing.
They're different, but aligned on honesty. Say it respectfully, no ulterior motives.
That culture sounds rare, where nobody cares who was right, only getting the answer.
That's why their debates were intense but productive, like honest stress testing.
But then the CEO drama, Reed basically critiques Mark and then demands to be CEO.
And Mark hates it at first, like, how dare you pitch my weaknesses?
And he's also crushed because it's my company, but then he flips the ego switch.
The best people in the right seats lens is the real founder test.
Most founders can fire anyone except themselves from the story they're telling.
He says it's the hardest question. Am I right for tomorrow, not just yesterday?
That's so brutal, and also why leadership transitions matter more than vibes.
Because Netflix wasn't a static company. It needed different strengths as complexity rose.
Like Mark's talent was building and framing, Reed's was scaling and decision-making under pressure.
and Reed already had a track record scaling after IPO, so the board risk calculus was clear.
But the thing he admitted is important. Tough decisions require empathy too.
Yeah, he says great marketers have empathy, and that makes bad news painful.
That line hit me. Hurting people doesn't get easier, you just get practiced.
Practiced doesn't mean numb, it means direct. Time to go, no theater.
Okay, back to hard work though. He's basically saying sprinting is necessary early, then you breathe.
He compares it to triathlons. Sprint in mass, start to get in open water.
But then you can't sustain panic effort for the whole race.
So hard work isn't useless. It's context-dependent throughput during uncertainty windows.
Translation: grind fundraising, grind survival, then shift to leverage once odds improve.
And avoid polishing the deck while the real failure happened 4 weeks ago.
He's weaponizing hindsight. Run less for planes, test more for directions.
Yep, work is a tool. Testing is the steering wheel.
All right, I think I get it. Netflix wasn't built by hard work, it was built by smarter experiments.
And by having founders who could kill ideas without ego and pivot fast.
That's the most reassuring part. You can fail quickly and still win long term.
Exactly. Failure becomes data, not identity.
All right, let's wrap here, because episode 2 is going to be about what broke at the crash, right?
Yeah, layoffs, leadership pressure, and how they turned the ugly moment into an advantage.
Cool. See you there and stay dangerous out there.
Thanks for listening. Episode 2 is where the deathly moment gets weaponized strategically.
All right, I think I get it. Netflix wasn't built by hard work. It was built by smarter experiments.
And by having founders who could kill ideas without ego and pivot fast.
That's the most reassuring part. You can fail quickly and still win long term.
Exactly. Failure becomes data, not identity.
But hold on. That hard work does not matter line feels spicy.
It is spicy, but it's also like he's not saying work is irrelevant, right?
He's basically saying the kind of hard work you do can be placebo.
Yes, work is only valuable when it's aligned with the real bottleneck.
The bottleneck was testing, not grinding out a fantasy business plan.
He's describing the collide with reality approach like it's a superpower.
That part where they mailed a CD in an envelope to test the post office? Insane.
It's so dumb simple, it loops back to brilliance.
Like, if your idea depends on shipping, just find out if shipping works.
And if people don't care, you didn't waste months building the wrong thing.
Okay, but what about all the people who pitch, I built this for a year already?
They're usually trapped by sunk cost and ego, not just effort.
Yeah, they're defending their bad decision as a personality trait.
He basically calls out the brainstorming room mindset, too.
Where someone says no bad ideas and everyone lies to themselves.
His rule is the opposite. Assume every idea is bad until proven otherwise.
That's emotionally brutal, but strategically clean.
Because if you fall in love with the idea, you stop collecting feedback.
And then you're not an entrepreneur, you're a project manager of your own belief system.
That's why the quick tests are not minimal viable product. They're unviable prototypes.
Unviable is the best word. It's like, don't build a car, build a dent.
Exactly. A dent tells you the direction of impact.
The clothing sharing example was wild too. Tape paper to a dorm and see who knocks.
That's the point. Don't ask for funding, ask for signals.
I love how he basically says don't drop out until the fit and stain problems exist.
And the beauty is you learn constraints for pennies and time.
So the controversy for me is the anti-hard work vibe.
Yeah, because in fundraising or crisis mode, you do need grind.
He even compared it to sprinting early in a triathlon crowd start.
But then you pace later, you don't sprint the whole race.
That Europe airport story. I vowed I'd never run for a plane again.
Because whether he ran or not, the plane decision was already made by time.
So running illegal activity without causal impact.
He's basically saying, don't optimize the wrong lever.
Which is why hard work can become theater.
Right, polishing decks and checking fonts won't save a bad market premise.
But also, some people hear this and get lazy.
Yeah, the trap is thinking hard work equals effort. He's talking about misallocated effort.
Okay, then connect this back to Netflix's origin. What was the real insight?
The real insight was shipping movies by mail became feasible once DVDs were light and cheap enough.
So the idea wasn't Netflix streaming war vibes.
No, it was solving an annoying customer problem. Blockbuster had the monopoly pain.
And the internet turned single store, entire country into a reality.
Plus, DVD adoption, he said the TAM at launch was tiny, like ridiculous small.
That makes marketing harder, because you're selling to people who can actually play the disc.
So you're not just building a business, you're building demand and access simultaneously.
And somehow they still did the Amazon meeting. Low 8 figures offer talk.
That part was wild. A good return for 12 to 18 months, but they weren't ready to sell.
Jeff back then sounded like a chaos goblin hyena bark.
Unpolished but enthusiastic, like the energy was still forming.
And the common thread with Reed and Mark? It wasn't whose idea, it was whose answer.
That culture is everything. No one cares who was right. They care what's true.
I keep thinking about the car silence moment where Reed would just stare and then go, "That will never work."
That's cold, but it's productive cold. It forces rigor early.
So when the DVD unlock happened, they didn't make a pitch deck.
They mid-commute validated by mail, again, collide with real people and real logistics.
This is why hard work wasn't the lever, learning was.
And learning came from cheap tests, not ego debates.
All right, we're clearly aligned. Work matters, but only after you pick the right experiment.
And you can't pick experiments if your identity is welded to an idea.
So if I'm an aspiring founder, the takeaway is brutal. Assume your idea is stupid.
Then be clever about finding the one thing that proves it isn't, or killing it fast.
And if you do that, failure doesn't hurt your ego, it accelerates your path.
Exactly, data, not drama.
All right, let's wrap here because episode 2 is going to be about what broke at the crash, right?
Yeah, layoffs, leadership pressure, and how they turned the ugly moment into an advantage.
Cool, see you there, and stay dangerous out there.
Thanks for listening. Episode 2 is where the deathly moment gets weaponized strategically.
Next episode, we're unpacking the crash, why it happened, and what they did when it did. Hard work not mattering, that line is going to piss people off.
I mean, it sounds like clickbait, but the logic is weirdly disciplined.
He's saying hard work is sometimes mandatory, but not the lever.
Right, triathlon metaphor. Sprint early, then you can breathe later.
And running for the plane is brutal because it's ego work.
Exactly. You think you're controlling outcomes, but fundamentals decide.
So the controversial bit is basically stop working harder on fantasy.
Yeah, because if the premise is wrong, grinding won't change the math.
But people hear hard work doesn't matter, and they turn it into be lazy.
He literally said, there are moments you must grind. Fundraising, layoffs, hiring.
So it's not anti-effort, it's anti-delusion effort.
Okay, that's actually a good phrase. Anti-delusion effort.
Now the bigger point for me, quick and cheap tests, not perfect MVP.
Not minimal viable product, unviable, just to collide with reality.
The CD by mail validation thing is so stupid it's genius.
It's the opposite of pitching. He's mailing a used CD like a lab experiment.
And it's not even Netflix specific, it's the method behind Netflix.
He keeps saying every idea is bad. You don't know why until you test it.
This is where I push back slightly. Every idea is bad feels extreme.
True, but he means unproven, not doomed. Context matters.
He also attacks the fall in love with your idea disease.
And the sunk cost fallacy. 2 years in your bedroom. And now you can't stop.
That people defend the bad decision like it's a personality trait thing.
Startup therapy. Humility is literally a survival skill.
I love how he describes commuting arguments with Reed Hastings.
Reed just stares, calculates, then drops the "that will never work" grenade.
And he fights back with research, but the goal is truth, not ownership.
Yes, being successful regardless of who's right. That's healthy co-founder culture.
Most people are like, prove I'm the genius, not find the right answer.
That's why he said they didn't care whose idea it was, only what survives contact.
So when they find DVD technology, it's like the premise finally has a carrier.
Internet makes one store possible. DVD makes shipping sane. And suddenly the combo works.
He gave those thousands of stores versus 12 people numbers, and it clicks.
Yeah, one inventory for the whole country is insane logistics-wise.
And they had to solve the content sourcing early, before scale even mattered.
I'm also obsessed with the finding movies strategy, 30 places in catalog.
Because Blockbuster is shelves, Netflix is discovery, different game entirely.
Also the timing. DVD penetration was tiny, like tens or hundreds of thousands players.
So their marketing challenge was basically, sell to a market that barely exists.
That's why quick tests matter. If you wait for mass adoption, you die first.
And then the Amazon offer, low 8 figures, 10, 15 million guess.
That's the commitment ceremony moment, where selling is tempting but not required.
I like that he says they already solved big problems, so walking away felt premature.
And Jeff Bezos in 1999 being like a literal hyena laugh, wild visual.
But what's the real takeaway? That they negotiate from optionality, not desperation.
Optionality comes from execution. They had a working machine, not just an idea.
Then comes the dot-com crash leadership transition, mid-1999 vibes.
Reed's "We have to talk" PowerPoint, CEO gets audited instantly.
And Mark's reaction is so human, I'm not letting you pitch how I suck.
But then he realizes maybe there are two dreams, being founder CEO and being best CEO for next phase.
That ego to odds shift is the kind of decision most founders can't make.
And he framed it as best people in the right seats, including himself.
Which is why hard work is secondary, leadership fit is primary.
Also, the empathy angle he mentions, direct response marketers feeling bad news more deeply.
Empathy as a weakness until it becomes training muscle for difficult conversations.
He basically said, this is going to hurt, and you do it anyway. No optimal loophole.
That's kind of the theme. Stop searching for perfect certainty. Test, decide, repeat.
Yeah, quick tests for ideas, disciplined decisions for leadership, and only then grind.
So if someone takes one lesson, it's collide with real people early.
And if they take a second lesson, it's work hard where it changes outcomes.
Not where it just makes you feel productive while the premise stays broken.
Exactly, anti-delusion effort again.
All right, let's close it out. This is the Netflix origin story, but the real story is the method.
And method beats mythology. Test fast, switch seats when needed, and don't confuse sprinting with strategy.
Thanks for hanging with us. Stay dangerous out there.
Episode 2, coming right up. The dot-com crash hits, layoffs happen, and they turn the ugly moment into leverage.
So the whole hard work matters thing, he just roasted that, huh?
Yeah, he basically said, hard work is a myth if you don't test first.
I love how he separates sprinting from actually winning the race.
The triathlon analogy was wild. Early chaos, then you pace after you're ahead.
And then he says, stop running for planes, because it's usually pointless.
It's so uncomfortable because it feels like productivity gospel getting audited.
Like you could run until your legs fall off, but fundamentals decide the outcome.
Exactly. Most people don't lose because of fonts or deck polish.
They lose because customers don't care 4 weeks earlier.
Or they're not the right market, or timing's wrong, or the core premise is bad.
Okay, but hold up. Does he mean hard work never matters or just misplaced hard work?
He said no hard work leading to success is a myth, but certain stages require grind.
Yeah, fundraising grind, survival grind, layoffs prep grind, those are real.
But the grind isn't the strategy, It's the maintenance required to execute the strategy.
That's why I liked the line. Collide with reality cheaply, quickly, easily.
Because if you're wrong, hard work just makes you wrong faster.
That's the anti-delusion part. Don't defend your bad decision with vibes.
Sunk cost fallacy is basically, I already suffered, therefore it must be genius.
He's basically saying you need humility as an operational requirement.
And he even frames it as starting from every idea is stupid.
That's such a psychological hack, though. Makes quitting easier when evidence shows up.
It's like evidence-first thinking instead of ego-first thinking.
But I also love the romance of the DVD test, mailing a CD to prove it can move.
That's not a pitch deck. That's literally, does the post office work right now?
And Reed just goes silent in the car like a human risk calculator.
He's staring out the window doing math, and Mark's coming with shampoo pitches.
Personalized shampoo is such a cursed idea. I can't believe people believed in it.
It's not even the idea, it's the method to reject it fast.
Wait, the method is what made the shampoo useful, not the shampoo itself.
Yep, the test creates information which routes you to the next alligator tail.
Alligator hopping is entrepreneurship distilled into one sentence.
And then he adds the two species thing, being right versus being successful.
That's the real cultural fork in the road, honestly.
Young founder wants the hypothesis correct. Seasoned founder wants outcomes and time saved.
And Mark and Reed were aligned on success, not credit.
Which is why the CEO transition didn't turn into a knife fight.
He straight up says it was his ego versus the company's odds.
And the decision was, put the best person in the right seat for tomorrow.
That line should be tattooed on every founder's brain.
Because yesterday's skills don't always map to tomorrow's phase.
But let's be real, CEO transition is hard even when you're emotionally mature.
Sure, but he makes it sound like Reed's honesty plus trust made it possible.
And Reed's, you don't appear tough enough feedback. Brutal, but maybe necessary.
Not tough like cruel, tough like able to steer hard decisions and still earn respect.
Mark's weakness sounds like empathy that makes bad news physically painful.
And he's like, I cry with every layoff, then learns the muscle.
That's the maturity arc most people skip. Feeling doesn't disappear, you just operate through it.
He said there's no optimum way to break hearts, just decision and then process.
So back to hard work. Manager takeaway. Don't confuse empathy with avoidance.
And don't confuse effort with progress when you're testing the premise.
Exactly, because effort can be a distraction from evidence.
That university example was perfect. Tape and marker, see who knocks in 24 hours.
He's basically saying validate desire before you validate your coding ambition.
People want to build, but the first build should be curiosity with paper.
I'm stealing that. Unviable prototype is such a good phrasing.
Unviable on purpose, because viable is expensive and emotionally sticky.
So in the Netflix case, internet store plus DVD timing plus shipping logistics.
And also, Blockbuster being hated by customers, market dissatisfaction, is the opening.
The weird part is they didn't predict streaming wars.
They solved a simple problem. Better video rental experience plus business model.
So what do you think Netflix would be? Answer: stunned, it evolved past their imagination.
That's the point. Strategy is for the problem you can define, not for the future you can fantasize.
All right, closing the loop. Hard work matters only when it supports the right test loop.
Yep, test fast, learn fast, change course, and only then grind where it changes outcomes.
And don't run for planes when the gate outcome is already decided by fundamentals.
Method beats mythology every time. Evidence over ego, sprinting over certainty.
All right, let's close it out. This is Netflix origin story, but the real story is the method.
And method beats mythology. Test fast, switch seats when needed, and don't confuse sprinting with strategy.
Thanks for hanging with us. Stay dangerous out there.
Episode 2 coming right up. The dot-com crash hits, layoffs happen, and they turn the ugly moment into leverage.
Hard work does not matter. But the way he says it is weirdly calming, man.
Yeah, because it's not don't work, it's don't worship work.
Exactly. Work is the fuel, not the steering wheel.
The steering wheel is that quick and dirty validation loop.
That mail a CD to yourself thing? That is pure genius chaos.
It's so stupid, it's brilliant. Like stamp cost beats a 5-month business plan.
And it exposes the real lie, that you can think your way into product market fit.
Right, you can't debate gravity, you just drop the thing.
I love how he frames every idea as bad at first.
Because if you don't assume it's probably dumb, you won't kill it fast enough.
And then you fall into sunk cost fallacy and start defending your own delusion.
That's the tragedy he keeps circling. Pride turns into a prison.
But also, his collide with reality thing is basically humility training.
He's basically saying, before you code, before you fundraise, ask reality politely.
Polite reality. Like tape a paper to a dorm room and see who knocks.
That part is savage. Your prototype is literally stationary and social embarrassment.
But the output is priceless. Would anyone even try this?
And if nobody knocks, you just bought yourself a year of life back.
Or if people knock, you learn fit, stains, returns, like the real costs show up.
Yeah, and then you stop pretending metrics are a vibe.
Okay, but I want to push back slightly on the hard work myth bit.
Go on, because I'm already waiting to argue like an idiot.
Hard work matters. At least early, before you even know what game you're playing.
Sure, you need effort to run tests, but you shouldn't confuse effort with correctness.
The running for planes analogy. He's saying running doesn't save you.
Mostly it doesn't, because delays and outcomes are upstream, not gate level.
But sometimes, moving faster actually makes you notice you're on the wrong runway.
I'll give you that. Speed helps you discover the truth faster, not magically change fate.
So the real theme is, work is valuable when it's part of an information loop.
Bingo. Work that produces learning beats, work that produces theater.
The other part that hit me, he and Reed's whole being right versus being successful split.
And Reed's the success camp. More analytical, less emotionally committed to an ego hypothesis.
Which is why they could integrate different approaches without it turning into two egos yelling.
He describes it as both caring about truth, just in different ways.
Then later, the wild leadership switch. Reed walking in with the PowerPoint like, I'm taking over.
And Mark's reaction, just stunned in the dark, sounds brutal.
But he reframes it as two dreams. Dream of big company versus dream of being CEO.
That is a founder skill people don't talk about enough. Ego management under uncertainty.
The decision is basically, does this increase our odds?
Not, does this hurt me, which is the default human mode.
And that's why he says that was the smartest choice he made.
Also a signal. The best seat changes over time, so you must rotate yourself out sometimes.
Like you hire someone for yesterday's job and later they can't do tomorrow's job.
So being a good CEO is admitting you're not the best person forever.
Now, connect this back to hard work. If you're clinging to ego, you'll grind the wrong thing forever.
Exactly. Hard work becomes sunk cost with caffeine.
Netflix's original goal sounded hilarious too. Like being top 10 video chains, then faster than expected.
It's always funny because your early target feels impossible. Then the universe low-keys overachieves.
But they didn't start with streaming wars in mind.
They started with one unpleasant market reality. Blockbuster doing what customers hate.
So the macro timing part. Internet enabling one store and DVDs making the format viable.
And the market size being tiny at first, under 250K DVD players, so they had weird acquisition constraints.
That's such an underrated startup pain. You don't just need demand, you need the right installed base.
It's like launching a rocket while the audience still hasn't bought helmets.
And yet they survived long enough to ride adoption curves.
Which again circles back to testing and iteration, because you don't get to predict until reality proves it.
Then Amazon meeting, low 8 figures offer, and they don't sell because they weren't ready to walk away.
But also, it's framed as a commitment ceremony, not a forced decision.
I mean, Reed's vibe in that era sounds like hyena laugh, bell ringing, down to business.
Yeah, and both teams obsessing over names and orders like it's magic.
Okay, so where do you land on hard work now? Quick verdict.
Hard work isn't worthless, it's just not the winning hypothesis.
My verdict, hard work matters only if it fuels learning and shifts decisions.
And if it doesn't shift decisions, you're basically running for a plane that already left.
All right, closing the loop. Netflix wasn't built on hard work, it was built on fast truth.
Fast truth, then execution. Method over mythology, every time.
Thanks for hanging with us. Stay dangerous out there.
Episode 2 coming right up. The dot-com crash hits, layoffs happen, and they turn the ugly moment into leverage.
Mark Randall basically says, hard work does not matter, and I hate how much I agree.
Yeah, but he doesn't mean don't work. He means don't worship work.
Exactly. He's like, if your work doesn't change the decision, it's just noise.
And he compares it to running for a plane that's late anyway.
That story is so brutal because it's literally you sprinting for nothing.
The plane timing is fixed, so the meta skill is upstream preparation, not heroics.
Upstream preparation meaning test, validate, and learn before you commit a ton of life.
Which is where the quick and dirty testing thing gets scary good.
Like the shampoo, the pet food, the personalized everything, they're all bad ideas on purpose.
He's not saying they were bad. He's saying they were bad because you hadn't collided them with reality.
So his rule is all ideas are stupid, you just don't know yet.
That's the discipline. Don't fall in love with the idea. Fall in love with falsification.
And Netflix's pivot wasn't a deck, it was a car turn and a CD in an envelope.
Bro, that is the most entrepreneurial thing ever. Test the postage logistics, not the dream.
He tried to buy a DVD, couldn't find one, used a CD, same size, same vibe.
And it arrived in 24 hours, which is basically, okay, the post office can do it.
That's the moment it becomes a business, not a fantasy about movie magic.
Also, notice the sequencing. He validates the hardest mechanical assumption first.
The assumption that customers can receive and return media by mail, boring but lethal if wrong.
Most founders skip that and spend months building a system that nobody's even asked for.
Which is the sunk cost fallacy in a hoodie. We've already built it, so it must be right.
He's basically like, humility is a competitive advantage, because reality doesn't care about your effort.
And then he tells the clothing sharing test with the dorm tape and marker experiment.
The whole thing is, tape a note to your dorm and see who shows up.
It's not scalable, it's not automated, it's not pretty, it's just truth extraction.
And once you see problems like fit, stains, dry cleaning, then you know what you're really signing up for.
I love that he called it unviable, not MVP, because you're trying to kill it fast.
Unviable is such a better mindset than viable, because it removes emotional hostage-taking.
But where I push back slightly is, does hard work doesn't matter ever become an excuse?
It can, yeah, if someone hears it as be lazy, but the subtext is work toward learning.
Right. Work as a lever for decisions, not work as a virtue signal.
And Netflix's real power wasn't work rate, it was the ability to pivot like a living thing.
Their macro timing also mattered. Internet as a single nationwide store, and DVDs actually arriving.
Yeah, the DVD penetration being tiny is key, like they bet on hardware adoption working out.
So it's not work versus no work, it's right bet versus wrong bet, faster than the market.
Exactly. Quick tests reduce the chance you place the wrong bet with massive size.
Now the other spicy part, the CEO transition between Mark and Reed.
That moment where Reed comes in with the PowerPoint and says, "We need you out."
And Mark initially thinks he's getting fired, like founder ego is a real disease.
But Mark realizes there are two dreams, being the creator versus being the CEO for scale.
And he steps aside because it increases odds of success. Classic no mythology entrepreneurship.
This is where being right as being successful comes in too.
Younger entrepreneurs care about being right. Seasoned ones care about being successful, even if wrong earlier.
Netflix culture seems to have been solve the problem, don't protect the ego.
So, final loop, quick truth, then work. Only the work that follows the right truth.
Hard work matters like fuel for learning. Otherwise, you're just sprinting on the wrong runway.
All right, closing the loop. Netflix wasn't built on hard work, it was built on fast truth.
Fast truth, then execution, method over mythology every time.
Thanks for hanging with us. Stay dangerous out there.
Episode 2 coming right up. The dot-com crash hits, layoffs happen, and they turn the ugly moment into leverage.
Catch you in episode 2. Let's go earn some uncomfortable lessons.
See you soon. And remember, test before you build your whole personality.